The manga starts and our main protagonist was talking to himself, reminding himself that his girlfriend is no longer in this world. While standing on some stairs, she ended up tripping, and she fell to her demise. After that, messages of his friends and family members flooded his account, and as he gets up, he reminds himself in a desperate tone that there was nothing that he did for that poor soul, and in everyone's eyes, he was just a broken soul who had lost his lover. As we see Furuya and his dead expression, reminding himself that he killed his own girlfriend in cold blood. He lays down and lets out a carefree sigh of relief and comfort. Now this was clearly not a person who was mourning the death of his beloved, and additionally, he tells himself that he can finally live a normal life. He tells himself that for once in his life, he could live like a normal human. Everything turned upside down when he met his then loving, dove-like classmate Sarah. As he dropped an eraser, she gave it back to him, and at first glance, anyone could fall head over heels for an angelic face like hers. The effect of her charm actually worked on him, and he couldn't help but notice every small detail about her. Not only did she captivate the boys in the classroom, but her news was widespread throughout the school. But something very unexpected happened when she called Furuya and confessed her feelings to him. Now he was a normal student with nothing special, and he obviously couldn't believe this, and Furuya accepted her without any hesitation. And he kept seeing her beautiful face in clouds. But things soon turned strange and uncomfortable. Whenever he would go outside for school, or even during normal outings, Sarah would always stalk him. Things got so weird that she began to message him thousands of times, and even when he blocked her, she would just find a way to stalk and haunt him. Everything was just too much, but until one day when she pointed a long kitchen knife near his stomach. He finally talks to her about her obsessive behavior, and with a loud voice he tells her that he has had enough. He points out how she followed him everywhere, and even pointed her knife at him. She begins to reply and she tells him that if he has a girlfriend like her, then there is no need for him to have anything else. Now her creepy attitude continues, and she begins to explain how if a person loses their wallet, they look for it. And with a dead and void-filled eyes she lets him know that Furuya is someone too important for her, and that is the reason she makes sure that he is doing okay. Now things were too scary for him as she would stalk him day and night, and he tells her that he is over this and would like to break up with her. Now just as these words left his mouth, Sarah glares through his soul and lets him know that there is absolutely no way she would ever sever her ties with him. She lets him know that even in death she would be with him. Now, as he was completely shocked from this, in the next second he ends up pushing her, and as this began the turning point in both of their lives, Sarah fell to her death. Since there were no witnesses or evidence of him being present, this accident was ruled out as foul play, and the police declared it as an accidental death. As he was happy to finally rest and sleep freely after months of mental torture, Sarah appears right in front of his face and asks him if he would like to go on a date with her. He immediately rushes back, and Sarah was standing in front of him completely alive and fine. He asks if she is still alive after bleeding from the head, and she tells him that her life is already over, and she lets him know that she doesn't have any feet. He asks if she ended up becoming a spirit, and with an empty voice she lets her beloved know that she loved him so much that she remained to see him again. In the next second, he dashes outside and brings back a big bag of salt and tosses a handful at her. He screams at her and tells her to leave him alone. She makes a pouted expression and asks if he wants to mess up his place with salt, and he asks her if she has any idea what hellish life she gave him. He adds and tells her that his mental health has become zero, and every day he used pills just to sleep in peace. As he shouts at her, she ended up sulking for a bit, and with a sad voice she apologizes for everything that she did, and with a cracking voice she tells him that she is still his even after death. Now hearing this, he freezes, and she lets her beloved know that even if he pushed her away and even murdered her, she smiles at him and tells him that despite this, she loves him more than anything. Furuya being her murderer doesn't affect her love at all. She adds that the normal world physics no longer apply to her, and she can be with him everywhere, even in toilets and bathrooms she can be with him. Now just hearing this, he began to imagine if she would ever leave him alone. He musters the courage and tells her to leave him alone and cries out that he is at his limit, but with a poker face, she lets him know that she is not here because of her free will. He wobbles and falls down, and he knew that he can't escape from a stalking and obsessive girlfriend like her. She leans over him and tells him that she has many requests and he needs to listen to all of them. As she breaks him with her words, he tried to push her but failed, and his arms ended up going through her body. She lets him know that there is no way that he could get rid of her, and as she tells him to follow her request. He knew that there is no other option than to follow her. Now he had thought that her requests would surely be obnoxious, however she wanted to hang out with Furuya on a date, and as she had a big wide smile, for a minute he forgot that she is a devil from inside. Although he had a clear picture of her, she tells him to follow her to a cafe. Just seeing the menu and everything, she somewhat became a normal person. As they found a seat, Sarah made him order a special exclusive cake through him, and as he asks if this was her wish, he asks if she can eat this. He tastes it, and sure enough, this was a normal cake that he ate multiple times, and she exclaims and tells him that she wants to try this as well. As he offered her a bite after her complaints, she was about to bite into it, but with a light and heartbreaking touch, the cake disappeared, and a gut-wrenching sad expression appears on her face. She laughs it off and begins to joke around, but he notices her expression, and he was sure that she was filled with sadness. As he ate the remaining cake all by himself, he couldn't understand her behavior, and questioned if he mistook her. As they got out, she thanks him for finally listening to her request and adds how she messaged him all the time to do this, and as he apologized for ignoring her, she lets him know that it is all in the past. He couldn't believe that she was a normal person. In his head, she was a stalker and obsessive girlfriend, but right now she is totally a different person, and he slowly ends up remembering his feelings for her. He shakes himself and reminds himself that he is the one who killed her, and he can't think of these things anymore. Since for the first time they were together, she also began to share her experiences with him. These were his first time hearing these things, and a real picture of Sarah began to form in his head. It seemed like he reacted in pure anger and failed to realize the things in front of him. He asks her if she hates him for killing her and making her the way she is, and with a gentle smile she lets him know that she is happy and glad that even in this way he decided to hang out with her. Now she was so pure and innocent that evil intentions like killing him and making his life miserable were not an option that she wanted to chase, and rather spending time with her beloved was more than everything for her. She spins around and makes another request, and tells him that no matter what, Furuya must not turn himself in. She lets him know that he must carry on and not blame himself for this, and in the first place, she is not angry that she died. As his eyes widen, guilt began to circle around his head. Since Sarah never had any history with relationships, it seems like she ended up overreacting to everything and began to just push boundaries with her new boyfriend. This made her seem like a stalker and everything. As Furuya realized that he might have done something unexplainable to her, Sarah kept going on and on with her requests, and every single one of them were requests that normal couples would do. However, the only difference was that in all of those experiences and trips, only he was the one interacting, but Sarah would only watch him have fun. After a few weeks, he returned back to his school, and there was a big vase full of flowers. For him, she was a stalker, but in the school, everyone loved her, and as the teacher ends the class, Sarah circles around Furuya in a cute manner and tells him that they should get going now. For the first time, he has started to feel relaxed around her, and wonders if that is because she can't harm him physically. As they walked out, Furuya asks her if she wants anything for her birthday, and Sarah was just blown away by the fact that he remembered her birthday. As he asked her again, with slight blushes, she lets him know that she would like to hold hands with him. Now she also jokes a bit to make sure that he tries to do this, and in the next second, he holds out his hand and lets her try to grab it. As he noticed the change in her expression once more, he sees that for a minute there was utter sadness in her eyes. He knew that she could never ever grab onto him or do anything else that a living girl would want, and as she tried to grab his hand and pretend that she was happy, he mutters to himself that Sarah is satisfied by just pretending to be Furuya's girlfriend. Realizing the sad and indescribable thing he did, he ends up tearing up, and in the next second, he cries right in the middle of the street, and as she asked him for the reason, he just kept walking, reminding himself that this is all his fault. After a few days, he decided to skip, and even Sarah points out that he never skipped classes before. He ignores her questions and asks if spirits can touch other spirits. She lets him know that spirits can indeed touch others, and she herself has met a few. As he heard this, he began to climb a fence, and as she asked for the things he was attempting to do, it seems like he was ready to do something unexplainable. He apologizes to her for not being able to hold hands with her, and cries to her that he regrets the things he did to her. As she realizes his intentions, she shouts at him to stop and tells him that she is okay with everything that she has, but Furuya was already beyond reasoning. He lets her know that he can't bear this anymore, and the guilt has been pushing him further into a dark and empty abyss. He shares how he takes twice the amount of sleeping pills to sleep after everything that is going on around him, and he lets her know that everything is his fault. As he begged for her forgiveness, he spins around and tells her that she was never at fault, and she should not be blamed for loving a cowardly person. As she hears this, he kept adding how he would make everything right, and in the next second, he ends up doing the unthinkable. She tries to grab him, but it was already too late. After some time, he opens his eyes and sees that he is in a spirit form. As he sees himself, he goes back to the roof, and from the back, Sarah bumps her head with him. He glances back and sees that Sarah was crying like never before, and she began to call him an idiot for risking everything and doing something so sad. He pats her head and lets her know that now both of them can be together. She cries out that she was happy just enjoying being together with him, but he lets her know that he is an idiot to die for her then. Just as he says this, Sarah's tone changes, and with an empty and painful voice she lets him know that he is truly the biggest idiot of all time. She added that she was too surprised to see his stupid actions. As shivers ran down his spine, she asks him if she was a good actor. As she began to touch him all over, he questions what she was doing, and with a cold voice she lets him know that she was waiting for him to do this the whole time. She lets him know that after realizing that she died, she thought very hard of a way to kill and touch Furuya again, and since she couldn't come up with anything other than the thing he did, she laughs and tells him that she filled him with so much guilt that Furuya walked toward his own demise. As she laughed, she tells him that this was the most fun that she ever had. She asks him if a cat got his tongue, and Furuya with a shaking voice asked if she tricked him into doing this, and with pitch-black eyes she tells him that if he was anything other than a mindless idiot, then he should have never bothered to think about regret and guilt, and should have rejoiced to live freely for once in his life. She adds that he should have lived on and moved on from this, and should never have done the unthinkable. As he praises that she finds his stupidity cute, she reminds him that everything is his fault, and now they will be together for all eternity in the same realm.